素晴らしい。嬉しい。
Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Their most merciful Lordship Shri Shri Arakunja Vihara ki Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mani Subhadra ki Shri Nathaji Shri Balagopal ki Shri Siddhartha ki Nitya Go Premanandi All glories to the Assembly All glories to the Assembly All glories to the Assembly All glories to the Lord Sweet Shri Shri Guru Shri Gaurananda Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Narayana Namasmitya Nanam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayam Dhiraye Nastaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtuti Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, Text 49. Viduro pi parityajya Viduro pi parityajya Prabhase deham atmana Prabhase deham atmana Krishna Veshena Chita Krishna Veshena Chita Titribi Swasayam Yayo Titribi Swasayam Yayo Viduro pi parityajya Viduro pi parityajya Prabhase dehamatmana Prabhase dehamatmana Krishna Vesena Chachita Krishna Vesena Chachita Itribi Swasayam Yayo Itribi Swasayam Yayo
Viduro pi parityajya
Viduro pi parityajya Prabhase dehamatmana
Krishna Vesena Tacchitta
Krishna Vesena Chachita Itribi Swasayam Yayo
Viduro pi parityajya
Viduro pi parityajya Prabhase dehamatmana Krishna Vesena Tacchitta Patribi Swasayam Yayo
Viduro pi parityajya
Viduro pi parityajya
Prabhase deham atmana
Prabhase dehamatmana
Krishna Veshena Tacchitta
Krishna Vesena Tacchitta
Kribi Savavshayam Yayo
Itribi Swasayam Yayo Viduro pi parityajya Prabhase dehamatmana Krishna Vesena Tacchitta Itribi Swasayam Yayo Vidura, the uncle of Yamarāja Yudhisthira. Api, also. Parityaja, after quitting the body. Prabhase, in the place of pilgrimage at Prabhasa. Deham Atmana, his body. Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Aveshena, being absorbed in that thought. Tat, his. Chitta, thoughts and actions. Itribi, along with the residents of Pitraloka. Swakshayam, his own abode. Yaya, departed. Vidropi parityajya prabhase dehamatmana Krishna Veshena Tacchitta Itribi Swakshayam Yayo. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhagavad-gītā Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda. Vidura, while on pilgrimage, left his body at Prabhas because he was absorbed in thought of Krishna. he was received by the denizens of the Pitraloka planet, where he returned to his original host. Please repeat. Vidura, while on pilgrimage, left his body at Prabhas, because he was absorbed in thought of Krishna. He was received by the denizens of the Pitraloka planet. Where he returned to his original post. Vidura, while on pilgrimage, left his body at Prabhas. Because he was absorbed in thought of Krishna, he was received by the denizens of the Pitraloka planet, where he returned to his original post. Purport. The difference between the Pāṇḍavas and Vidura is that the Pāṇḍavas are eternal associates of the Lord, the personality of Godhead, whereas Vidura, one of the administrative demigods in charge of the Pitraloka planet, and is known as Yamarāja. Men are afraid of Yamarāja because it is he only who awards punishment to the miscreants of the material world. But those who are devotees of the Lord have nothing to fear from him. To the devotees, he is a cordial friend, but to the non-devotees, he's fear personified. As we have already discussed, it is understood that Yamarāja was cursed by Manduka Muni to be degraded as a Sudra, and therefore Vidura was an incarnation of Yamarāja. As an eternal servitor of the Lord, he displayed his devotional activities very ardently and lived the life of a pious man. So much so that a materialistic man like Dhritarashtra also got salvation by his instruction. So by his pious activities in the devotional service of the Lord, he was able to always remember the lotus feet of the Lord. And thus, he became washed of all contamination of a Sudra-born life. At the end, he was again received by the denizens of the Pitraloka and posted in his original position. The demigods are also associates of the Lord without personal touch, whereas the direct associates of the Lord are in constant personal touch with him. The Lord and his personal associates incarnate in many universes without cessation. The Lord remembers them all, whereas the associates forget due to their being very minute parts and parcels of the Lord. They are apt to forget such incidents due to being infinitesimal. This is corroborated in the Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 4, verse 5. So I'm going to go to Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 4, verse 5, which is going to reveal the infinitesimally small nature of the soul. Chapter 4, verse 5. Krishna. This chapter is entitled Transcendental Knowledge, and verse 5, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Oh, this is tough to read. Bahuni me yatityani janmani tapachakuna taryaham veda sarvani nakompita param tatya tatha. The personality of Godhead said, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. And here we're seeing the difference between our limitations as human beings and the unlimited nature of Krishna's ability. Can you imagine this statement being made that he has full remembrance of every one of his incarnations? So for us to acknowledge the significance of this, we have to realize how many billions and billions and billions of universes are emanating from his created body. So that form that he takes as Yamarāja, who is also the punisher in this universe, is one of those forms of many millions and millions of forms. And this is brought out in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Vaita Chandra, Jaya Gauri Bhakta, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Vaita Chandra, Jaya Gauri Bhakta, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Vaita Chandra, Jaya Gauri Bhakta. So, in the opening verses of the Adi-lila, first chapter entitled The Spiritual Masters, I'm only going to read the English, because there's a point I want to make here. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnations, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Śrīla Prabhupāda Chaitanya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Śrīla Prabhupāda Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously. They have arisen simultaneously right here in our temple at this very moment. On the horizon of Dwara, to dissipate the darkness of ignorance, and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. When the Upanishads describe what the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord, known as the Supersoul, is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him.
Excuse me, Kanta, where you're reading the Spiritual Masters in chapter 1, Chaitanya Charitamrita?
No, yes, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi-lila, Volume 1, Chapter 1, but I'm not reading that now. But this gives us an idea of how many different places Krishna is simultaneously. And in each and every place, he's manifesting with a specific purpose. And so, this most recent incarnation being described in this first verse as a revelation, because until he came, the completeness of this manifestation of Śrīmati Radharani and Krishna in the same body had not yet been revealed to mankind. In this age or any previous age either. And the goal of life, even in the Dharma of all these previous ages, was to attain to, much like Vidura, he's Krishna, he's an expansion of Krishna himself, but just as he is revealing in his life the perfection of a devotee. But he's taking his place because he came from there as an expansion of Krishna. But even so, as such, he's revealing what a perfected soul who had taken part in the process being given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, where they go back to a higher place in this universe. And that was the goal, being looked at as that gained by the participants in the battle of Kurukshetra on both sides. They were hoping to gain many of them believed to be the eternal kingdom of heaven, but which Lord Chaitanya is bringing the knowledge of back to Godhead, the spiritual world, and the distinct difference between the two. And here's what is encapsulated in that verse that says that he's bringing the completeness of the knowledge of love of God. And in that one body of Lord Chaitanya is that completeness to be found. So this is what is lacking in all other forms of religion now that are being practiced. And so we are the ones responsible when we come in contact with people and the best way for us to come in contact with people who have never heard this chanting before is to come in contact with them while we are chanting. And now is the perfect season to do that. All people going out on the beaches, swimming is a Vaishnava sport, actually.
Okay.
And so they're going out there to bathe. They're not really going out there to bathe, but they're going out there to swim and have fun. But they can buy that same effort they've made to enjoy family and friends and recreation. They can be hearing Krishna's name for the first time, and we can be the ones bringing it to them. Because this liberation that the sound of Krishna's name is giving is beyond that which Krishna is revealing in that form of Vidura, where he's going to his previous post, where he is going to stay for the endurance of this entire universe as Krishna. But that process, Lord Chaitanya is giving us to give to the world is that which will liberate them beyond the realms contained within the limitations of this material universe and into the spiritual world where the same activities are going on. And Lord Chaitanya is giving us the ability to know the joy and happiness of engaging in those activities here. And then how much it increases your joy when you realize you're a part in it to give it to others. And that joy becomes increased because as you speak Krishna's name to others and they're finding in that name a satisfaction they haven't found in other sound vibrations, they're going to give that to others as well. And most human beings we see are in touch with at least another 10, 15, 20, to 100, 1,000, a few thousand people, depending on how influential they are. So, words put into specific ears can have even more potency. So, if we can get to those members of society who are controlling societies by the laws that they make, then we're kind of discussing back and forth about the laws that are made about immigration here. And that are made in every nation. Because it's a principle of Krishna to keep the inhabitants, his subjects, who are serving him, to keep them protected. And so in each of his cities, He surrounds the city with a wall. And by the laws that govern the modes of material energy, and by that the Krishna is controlling the spiritual energy, only those servants are allowed into those dwellings that are of that servitude manner, etiquette, and they are following the principles Krishna has given. And in this way, the city is protected, and everybody is serving the same goals. Now, what has happened over the development of societies over the history of time, we see that wars have been fought over differences of beliefs of how society should be run. So you have people who believe in communism fighting against capitalism. You have people, fascism, fighting against other forms of government, so-called. But the way it was originally established, as Krishna comes revealing what his purpose in coming is for the protection of his devotees and to keep them protected from outside influences that would try to bring harm to his subjects. Now, here is the thing. If we, as devotees, approach society in an unbiased manner with the hopes of being able to put society into a better order than the way that it's functioning right now, because we see that there's so much division in society. So, if people who have certain philosophical beliefs about life share that philosophical conclusion with many people, then society can be designed in such a way that cities are made for people who share common faiths, common beliefs, common philosophical conclusions. And thereby, the laws that are drawn up by those people govern according to the ways that they believe God is giving them the laws to govern humankind. And when within each, and there may be some cities that don't want any laws. Well, it doesn't function for a while and see how well they go. Not any laws. And after they've killed everybody off and there's an empty city to fill, then we'll fill it with people that have common sense. But, see, this is manifesting in the world without a means to find its fulfillment. And all the groups are feeling frustrated. And they're not really living in such a way that any of the groups are saying they should be living either. Because society is putting its pressures upon each group to act in such a way that it normally would not if it was only acting according to its religious beliefs. Am I right? Or am I right? So, if mankind has among itself leaders who are able to give the rest of humanity guidelines for setting up a system that every city was set up within the boundaries of its belief system, protected even by the whole city under one roof. The prophecy that was spoken about Śrīla Prabhupāda being brought into this world was that he would create a house that the whole world could live in. Now we know that's not a building of wood and stone and brick and all this other thing. But we're living within the understanding experiencing life within the understanding of a standard of consciousness, which is what experience of life is. The life you're experiencing is consciousness itself. And what God, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, specifically is giving to us in this age, in this form, is the completeness now. The completeness of himself. The completeness of the mysteries. All human beings are looking to solve for themselves that are on the spiritual path. Who is God? How powerful is God? What is God? What does he want? What is he like? What does he look like? What does he want us to do? All these questions being answered directly. But we simply have to take the direct words from the spiritual truths out of the mouth of the Supreme Most Person himself, who is being described in this Chaitanya Charitamrita as written by Krishnadas Kaviraj as the Supreme Most Form of God. Supreme Most even than that being revealed by Krishna himself as the individual person that he manifested himself as on the battle of Kurukshetra, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Not to say that he didn't have he is the origin of Chaitanya. So he has the completeness of everything, and he is the original source of everything. But by his declaration through his servant, he is saying himself that this form of Lord Chaitanya, I need to sit right facing behind. This form of Lord Chaitanya is supreme most to every other manifestation Krishna has revealed throughout all of his past incarnations. Think about that. That makes us a chosen people of Krishna himself to give us the ability to receive these most mysterious and confidential teachings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, revealing all his potencies in these teachings, revealing the differences between his external energy, his internal energy, his purposes in coming. All these are revealed through this form of Lord Chaitanya. And then to break that wall of ignorance that separates those on the spiritual path for their own material desires and allow them to gain entrance onto the path that will give them the fulfillment of those desires without the limitations created by their own lack of knowledge. Because if we develop the mental attitude that being Krishna's servant in this world is actually the highest benediction. Think about it. We take it for granted here in the temple because it seems so easy for us to get service when we want it, if we want it. Right. And under what terms we want it to be in. What time of the day we want it, how long we want it to last. But if we have the proper attitude towards seva, towards this spiritual energy that Krishna is allowing us to experience through these normal everyday activities, we will come to find that satisfaction we've been longing for by revealing to us, Krishna himself, revealing to us intimately how dear we are to him. That's what's coming to me every morning. When I'm chanting now every morning, oh, Krishna, it's hard to hold back the tears. It's hard to hold back the tears because Krishna enables you appreciation for the life that you've been able to have the privilege of living, because it's enabled you to be connected back to the eternal home and know the eternal energy, the divine love of the Supreme, so that you look on your past in all the attachments you had to family members and thoughts you had about previous members of your family that may have been great, wonderful people, and worries and concerns. Maybe these people have not found salvation with God. But we find in the promises of Krishna 10 generations back. And if you become absolute pure devotee, 100 generations back, they'll go back to Godhead beyond their own capabilities to realize what heaven was like. And most people up until that time were following scriptures that did not give complete knowledge of the love of God that is now being poured out through this database, database.io, that Śrīla Prabhupāda has so abundantly opened up to the entire world. This is how his house is now manifesting as a protective covering shield like the Narayana Kavacha. Not even the demigods, no demons, nobody can pierce through that protective shield. And that's what the protection of this Maha Mantra is against Maya. And this Maha Mantra gives us full shield and protection of God, so that the truth that we are will be able to manifest as that protection that we have from the nature Krishna made the soul itself. And as we see examples of souls giving protection to other souls, and that's how as we develop the mentality of wanting to serve the Supremost, in finding our abilities thereby to serve humanity at large, then we give those abilities also to those whom we're serving. And so one after another, we follow the footsteps and we get back to the same Godhead that Yudhisthira. See, Yudhisthira Yamarāja, he's serving as the son of Yamarāja. So Yudhisthira, the son of Yamarāja, and Yamarāja himself are taking part in pastimes with Krishna. And Krishna takes pleasure in that, because they have such significant meanings. The positions they have in this universe are so significant and eternal posts. Yamarāja is there till the end, much like Lord Shiva is there till the end. Lord Brahma is there till the end. So these are long living, some of them souls. Atmas, Brahma is Atma. We are Atma. So some of us have also been Brahmas before. Explained. So this will blast our minds as well with the thought of how long ago it was that we were with Krishna, back to God. It could be a lot longer than we think, even as long as we think. This manifestation, the universes that are happening at this particular millennium in time is just one of billions and billions of accounts that have happened, and maybe we're eternally going to keep on happening. And Krishna is giving us knowledge of that, to be able to step off the merry-go-round and get back into reality. And then wake up. Because the life without Krishna that we lead is an illusion, like a dream. And then when one comes to know Krishna, they come to realize it was not a dream. fearing death at every turn. Without God, this is the position people are in. And the society that we have created as human beings cause there to be reason for even more fear, worry, anguish. And this is the cause of people aging prematurely as well. You see people at the age of 50, 60 years old, they haven't come to a standard of common sense yet. And then what to speak of understanding the precepts of the spiritual world.
Right.
So when we see this manifesting in society, we see by Krishna's explanation in Bhagavad-gītā the cause of this unwanted progeny. It is what a man is thinking of in his mind, the consciousness a man has developed when he is engaged with his wife to bring children into the world. It is revealed by those very elevated birds, Prahlad, Yamarāja. In the womb, they were being given knowledge by their guru in some cases. And this is missing in our society now. And we have become such individualists. We're doing everything, even as spiritualists, we're still leaning towards individualism. We want to be the one and only of our lives. We don't want to surrender our own will to the will of another superior being. And thereby lies the difficulties of our lives to fulfill that what we want to do versus what Krishna has for us to take part in. So people evaluate in their minds what they want to do in life based on the previous experiences. So the fundamental problem with that is our recollection of our last time connected to the eternal service that we were once engaged in is not easy to recollect. And that's what this participation in Krishna's service, this bhakti, will bring us to the state of the same status with Krishna. Because in our minds, then, by evaluating in reality what these services being offered to us are, taking a look at it from a Krishna conscious perspective, whether it's sweeping the floor, whether it's mopping, cleaning the wall, whether it's cooking a sweet for Krishna, whether it's giving a child an instruction, whatever that activity may be, that you find yourself able to engage in Krishna consciousness, this is that will give you complete satisfaction, fulfillment of life, and realization at the end of the life. The distinct difference that energy will produce for you at the end of life versus what you can see by all those who are taking part in the activities you wish to take part in, and what suffering they're going through because of it. Krishna gives us so much protection just by our following the four regulative principles. And we take it for granted after a while. And you know, to a great extent, devotees get to the point where you go out, you have the kind of built-in mentality, everybody's like me. You know, you kind of get that in your mind, because you've had enough interaction with other beings. You think, well, everybody's the same. Right? But actually, we are all individually so distinctly different. And this is what is missing in the Constitution of the United States, in the statement, made all men are created equal. Number one, nobody's created. The soul is not created. It always has existed and always will exist. So there's the first problem with that statement. But then, if we just take an unbiased look life we have ever seen. You can find what is called identical twins. I had his cousins, well, they weren't bloodline cousins, but a lot of friends that my parents grew up with ended up recalling them aunts and uncles out of respect, which is in fact revealing how human beings all used to consider all other human beings part of the family. Because if you go back tracing genealogical lines far enough, we'll find a place where everybody is so closely related. And now we're looking at each other so far remotely removed in our relationships from one another. But we have to remember we have one source. And that very source has our best interest in mind in giving us this Dharma for the age, this chanting of Hare Krishna, in giving us an eternal song we can sing.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare. That will carry us beyond the grave. This statement in the Bible, O grave, where is thy sting? O death, where is thy victory? See, as devotees, we can actually say that. Because Krishna gives us the eyes, philosophical eyes, to see beyond death. By this Bhagavatam, he opens our eyes to be able to understand what will happen to the devotee, to you, who's taking part in the activities that he prescribes for mankind. What will happen to you? He's coming, he says in Bhagavatam, these are not my words. Krishna says, you live a life as a pure devotee, and he will come personally on Garuda's back and carry you back to God. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavatam. Wow. You think anyone that's being called to ISKCON that Krishna is not referring to? Everyone that's coming, Krishna's calling us to himself.
Right.
He's our closest friend. What do you think of your closest friend? And then multiply that as many times as Krishna has greater love than we do for one another. As a father, as the original father of all life that there is, Krishna's that for us. He's calling us to himself to give us the greatest opportunity that human life can offer. Not Disneyland. Not to become a great movie star, a great well-known singer, which can happen on the way. But it's not the end goal. The end goal is to be able to embrace Krishna. Lord Chaitanya, when someone came first day in the temple, when he heard them say Krishna's name, he embraced them. Lord Chaitanya embraced, ran to them. He takes the pleasure in their reciting his name the same way he does take pleasure in hearing of his own playing of his own flute. This is described in Hari Bhakti Vilas by one of Lord Chaitanya's closest associates, Sri Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, who gives us this Hari Bhakti Vilas for us to realize the benefits of all of these activities Śrīla Prabhupāda has given to us, like Tirthapada was saying this morning. These are not options we're supposed to be looking at as options. Coming to the morning program, sitting in class, taking morning prashad together, studying the books all day long, then sharing hot milk together, reading Krishna book together. These are not supposed to be options. We're making them options now, and it is true that every bit, any one of the steps towards any one of those processes will lead us to the end result Krishna consciousness. But the more of them we take part in, the more we will be able to realize the effects that this Krishna consciousness will have on the entire world eventually. And now we're being able to take little steps towards the end. But at the end, we will know that those were the biggest steps we could have made. We can use our lives to the greatest extent they were meant to be used by putting into effect the precepts of Krishna consciousness.
You put that so nicely, Ekanta.
Yeah. And just living life the way human beings were meant to be able to experience life and ultimately love.
Put goosebumps on.
Love is the goal. Yes. We're supposed to have goosebumps. We're not having goosebumps. And we should be crying that we're not having goosebumps.
We should be crying when we don't have goosebumps.
Yeah. So, Krishna's mercy. Any comments, any questions, any realizations anybody like to share about this golden age? We are having the great privilege of being able to take part in the beginning stages. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Śrīla Prabhupāda.